Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the MindShift podcast. As you know, I am your host, Daryl Evans, and I'm excited to have you here today for another fantastic interview episode with an absolutely incredible entrepreneur. Thank you, first of all, for taking time out of your day to be here today. I know you could have been anywhere doing anything else, and I just want to thank you for the love and support you continue to show this show. And if there's ever anything we can do, if there's a topic you want us to cover, be sure to hit me up on social media, anywhere online at Mr. Daryl Evans. We're happy to take your suggestions and see if we can provide a topic that's going to serve you at a high level. Today, I'm super excited to have with me a one-of-a-kind individual, entrepreneur, thinker, coach, and thought leader. Her name is Cristina Imra. I hope I got that right, Christina.
Pretty
Over the
good.
past
Congrats.
over the past 2 decades, Christina has made it her mission to not just build her own successful businesses, but to then grow them, scale them, exit them, and now over the last 2 decades, help executives, CEOs, and founders reach their potential and create successful companies. She's been called a few things in her journey: a people reader, Sherlock Holmes, the secret weapon, and the no BS coach for her unique combination of business acumen and knowledge of human nature. Christina's journey, as she would admit, has been full of mistakes and successes. But through it all, she's learned what works and what doesn't work and has developed the quantum wins model. This model is not only a formula for success, but a way of life. I think today's conversation for you, my listening audience, is going to be rich, insightful, profound, because there are some things that you might be hearing from her today that you might say, I think I've heard that before somewhere. She's unique, she's gifted, and I'm excited to welcome Christina to the show. Christina, how you doing?
Daryl, I'm so glad to be here and see you again because this is not our first meeting. And let me tell you, this kind of intro I would love to have on a daily basis. Awesome. Thank
You're,
you so much.
thank you. And I know that share with our audience where you are in the world, and we'll dive right in.
I'm in Romania, Europe, but I work Eastern hours because most of my clientele is basically in the US and also Canada, but mostly US. And I'm known working to work remotely for over 10 years now. And I also used to help creating distributed teams because maybe I'm a little bit of a pioneer in this remote setting. And so this is my usual way, being here physically but mentally in other spaces together with my clients.
Incredible, and absolutely incredible. Christina, you had the entrepreneurial bug start at a really early age. Share with our audience a little bit about when that was and what caught your eye about entrepreneurship.
I think that I pretty much share those kind of commonalities or common traits of an entrepreneur, a kid who is so super active, super curious, thinking about deals, how to make money even at 7, because in my case, those traits started at 7, at least my memory. It's until there. And so I went to the flea market and I sold shoes and clothes. And I recall I love so much the interaction with people, negotiating them, telling why they should buy my shoes and how awesome they are. And I also had this kind of communication bug, being open to people, being very curious, stopping strangers on the street, asking them, where are you going? What are you doing? Are you going home? I mean, all kinds of invasive questions. But as a kid, I was pretty interested in doing something, in learning things, in finding out stuff on my own.
Yeah. So I told you offline that there were some commonalities that you didn't know that we shared because from the time that we met, we had a conversation about some of the things that you thought we had in common. You didn't know that I started one of my businesses at a swap meet, my
Oh,
very first
wow.
business. So when you say
That's
go into flea markets in the United States, we call them swap meets. So the first business I started out of the truck of my car was at a swap meet. That's item number one. For those of you listening who don't know what the inside joke is, Christina and I was on Christina's podcast. I'll share that link with you down in the show notes. She has a fantastic podcast. What I thought was interesting, and I'll just share the quick story, was she had paused her podcast for a little time of regrouping, but somehow I ended up on her calendar and kind of caught her by surprise. So the day that we got together, she was thinking, maybe I should cancel this because I thought I paused the podcast. But the entrepreneur that she is, the thought leader that she is, she said to me, I said, no, because he's here, so we might as well do the interview. And it turned out, I hope that it served your audience extremely well. We will see soon because it's just coming out. And it just led to a very interesting conversation around serial entrepreneurship, growth, mindset. And I can't wait to unpack more of that brilliance that you have, Christina.
I need to add here because basically our podcast was one of the best, and it is one of my favorites because the topics we reached together, it's just so close to my heart. And it was like afterwards, for those of you who don't know, no one knows, but I call you bro. you're
Right?
like, really, I identified with you with so many things. And I said, oh, we need to keep this connection very alive because people who think alike, right, work alike, and
Yeah.
can be a model for others as well. So yeah, I appreciated that podcast a lot. Don't even mention it. Of course, it's so valuable. You gave so many examples, so you need to watch that podcast, obviously. And this is the second round, and I'm super curious in what direction we will go because nothing was planned, nothing was like scripted, and today it will be the same.
Yeah. It's interesting. I found it in my journey. And again, I want to unpack some of the 20 years of your learnings, the number of businesses you've grown and scaled. I mean, you have a vast amount of experience. In fact, far more than I. I haven't had that many businesses, and you've scaled and exited more businesses that I just think is fascinating. So let's talk quickly. Let's give the audience some broader perspective. You have started how many companies?
6.
And you exited how many?
2.
Six and
Yes, two,
six and
and
two.
I also close companies, correct. I must add
Yeah.
that the biggest successes are behind the scenes, those that you didn't see because of the way I work and my work, and especially as a coach, but not only as a coach. The biggest work and exits and successes are businesses I cannot name because of our contracts, but there are much
Yep.
more. Mine were more like playing, just to be in the entrepreneurial game and just learning on my own skin. But they had a different kind of design, and my exits are not that big, but they were good enough just for practice reasons. But the big exits were behind the scenes, and the even bigger exits are on the way.
Awesome. I love that. The bigger exits are on the way. Christina, I'm always interested in the learnings and the gap, especially when someone's got 2+ decades of experience in entrepreneurship. If you could go back to those early days, and again, I don't know, where the successes and failures happen, but that's just part of the game. What would you, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself back then about the entrepreneurial journey and about either succeeding faster or avoiding just the mistakes that may have slowed you down in some of your early learnings?
Interesting question, and I thought about this many times. Even for important questions, the answer changes over time, especially when we get older and we have different kind of lessons. If you would have asked me what would I have changed, I would say nothing, and that's certainly true for now because everything that happened to me shaped me for the person I am today. What I would advise maybe my younger self is just don't want to do everything in one day because I went through burnouts a lot and I was pretty much like a crazy entrepreneur. My work ethic is even today, it's very hard to bear for many people who know me, but it's a huge difference from my work ethic when I started entrepreneurship and even not so many years back. I mean, I worked like absolutely crazy because I love
Hmm.
business, and this is one of the things we could touch, that we don't need to separate work and life, because if it's part of our life, and it's very, very crucial because it creates so much misery and unhappiness. But in my case, it was okay, but still I think I didn't have the barrier. It was just like the madman going straight and not seeing any stop sign until you just feel that you crash. And so
Mm.
yeah, I had those kind of extremes, which led to not enjoy maybe life as much as I could have. And so probably I would say, hey, relax, just enjoy the ride, really.
I love that. Enjoy the ride, because I like to say that I'm patiently impatient,
Mm, yeah.
which means I'm in a hurry. I'm patiently in a hurry.
I mean,
So,
just to know, I have a testimonial I never shared because I cannot share the name. So a lot of my work is under anonymity. Maybe that's why I'm not so known. But this would be again something very valuable. But because I couldn't share the name, I didn't list it anywhere, just to name some letters. But one of the quotes was from a former client of mine that, hey, you are replacing my entire management team, and they are 25, and I thought I have a good team, and this is a huge corporate CEO who we are
mm,
talking about. And he said this about me over that time. So this can just highlight again that I was a little bit too much. I did a little bit too many things, even for my own sake. But on the opposite side, it brought me so much experience, and you can just double the years, just because during 1 year, maybe I just was focused on 10 things, like not one, and I got pretty good at all, just because I put in the hours and I work like crazy. Yeah.
yeah. So you've been called a lot of names.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I want to know, I want to kind of unpack a couple of these names. The people reader. Why the people
Yeah.
reader?
This is one of the first ones. So I'm an intuitive empath, and when in high school I decided that I truly want to understand people and human nature and how we function, it was because I realized that we could do a lot better than we do. I realized that we are unstable. I realized that we are shallow. We just stick to appearances, and because I just as an early child, even before high school, and because of my childhood, I needed to be very, very aware of my surrounding and of dangers. So I'm not sure if it's trained or it's innate. Maybe it's both. But very early on, I just noticed that I can read the clues about people, and this came from others. Oh my God, you noticed that? I didn't realize. Or usually I said in back pretty early on something about a person, and we are talking obviously character
Hmm.
that was not recognized by the vast majority, and they were exposed years later. And when I talk years later, it could be 10, 15 years later. And I can say this even about presidents or public figures who were, let's say, voted. And I said, oh my God, I saw the psychopathy, or I felt the evil side. I felt the shallow side. I felt that they should never lead people. They should never lead countries. And people were in love, and this could happen at other levels, and of course around my surroundings. And then time proven that I was correct. And so, yeah, this was developed in times lots, but starting very early on. And I got very used to trust this reading ability that was
Hmm.
later on also trained through research and through knowledge, let's say more standardized schools and so forth, just to not say that I have the crystal ball and then I just say things.
Sounds to me like you said it earlier. The curiosity is, I call curiosity one of those things that unlocks the gate to a lot of things: learning, discovery, knowledge, awareness. And I think you said that at the beginning of the show. So I think what I'm hearing now is this intuition that you decided to trust, right? Because there sometimes we get that gut feeling, we get that sense that you can call it anything you want, you can call it the spirit, you can call it energy, and sometimes we just ignore it, right? And sometimes it sounds to me like you started to trust that this sense that you would get, and you went with it. You acknowledged it, you honored it, and you started to make some decisions around it as you developed this path with human nature. I'm interested. Why the no BS coach? I can sense from our talking for a couple of times, I can sense maybe why, but how is it? What makes you the no BS coach?
So my approach and the way I am, it's interchanging according to what you need from me. And when I work with my clients and with companies as well, sometimes I'm pretty tough. I can be very tough. And this also comes from my childhood when I needed to defend myself a lot. And this was one of those kind of skins I took on very early on to just be seen as very tough. And then people to just let me alone. So it came from there. But then eventually it was also because one of my values in life, and it was always there, is frankness. I just don't like, to tell you, hey, I like you if I don't like you. I don't like to spend time on just saying things or doing things that I don't see that they go anywhere. And this, I could give you example from my entourage. I changed entourage so many times I cannot even tell you. I don't have those kind of stories that I have a friendship from my childhood intact, because yeah, partially it was that, okay, they moved, I moved, and things just happen, life happens. But partially it was, if I was in an entourage and I was called outside, let's go party or something, and talking about the same topics and so forth, I said, I don't evolve. I cannot. If I don't evolve, I feel I die, like a life learner. And so they started to call me. I said, oh, I have no time, again and again, until the phone didn't ring anymore. So this was based on that. So when something it was against my values or my growth, or when it comes to my clients, and I just see that they are faking something or they are showing something as a leader, especially because I work with leaders and I worked in the past mostly with leaders, they show one face and I see that through my reading abilities, and that's just not true. I demand that very quickly. And sometimes when I realize that people need to be shaken, I can be really tough. My coaching
Mm.
can be very different and interesting. Some people deserve the toughness; they need that for to wake up, or just to go in a certain route. Others need the contrary. So I can be very empathic, very nice, but in business sometimes I need to be tough. And when people see this, they would never consider me as an empath or someone who's very very nice. But actually, it's the opposite.
When I looked at your work and I looked at your bio and your background and all of your social media, I looked at all of the speaking, um, mentions. I noticed something that stood out, and it was that you call out to the founder who wants to take their company to unicorn status.
Yeah, I
I've been
must just
around.
correct you just a little bit, because this is very,
Okay.
very new, and I just changed my title also on LinkedIn, and this is in Premiere. I changed the unicorn to dragon because this means it seems to be the next title for the unicorn. The
Hmm.
unicorns are not seen as the as what they were seen before, especially that what's happening now in the venture world and with the fundraising and with many unicorns that were just fake unicorns. And so during the current circumstances and times, the unicorn changed to dragon. So we can start talking about dragons today and from now on.
Yeah, I think the thing that I noticed, and I've interviewed a lot of people now on this show, a lot of very successful people. I thought it was very interesting that you call out to that specific level of thinker, of doer, of entrepreneur. Why is it that you're attracted to that type of entrepreneur who thinks that big?
The word is impact. So there are people who I believe we want to have some certain impact in the world, but some are satisfied just impacting their family or maybe their neighbors or just a close someone. I am not. I'm looking for huge impact that can impact people and societies and maybe the entire earth. And so my time is limited. I'm one person with my own dreams, but I could have a huge impact if I have the right type of people who could have, through their work, through their companies, huge impact over millions. And so that's why.
I mean, that's literally as simple as it sounded. It is just that subtle of a shift in
Mm-hmm.
thinking. It's just
Yeah.
that subtle of a shift in thinking. Some people want to impact their family, and a mentor that we both share is Jim Rohn.
My
And
first mentor. Oh my God.
right,
Yeah.
so it's absolutely insane. He would say it's perfectly okay if you just want to take care of your small circle, right? He would say, um, service to many leads to greatness, right? Service to many leads to greatness. And then he would say, well, if the person said back to him, yeah, but I'm still trying to take care of myself, he said, that's fine, but it doesn't lead to greatness, right? And so I thought about that when I was reading about your target audience and who you really work with. And then, of course, I found out that we shared a liking to the great Jim Rohn. I've mentioned Jim Rohn's name on this show I don't know how many times, and it was one of those. It was he showed up in my world at a pivotal stage of my entrepreneurial journey. So I'm forever indebted to the great Jim Rohn. And I saw that you shared that same common thing. What's
I
the
did a
number one thing?
tribute I did a tribute video about him, and it's on my YouTube channel. It's good to mention him because many of the successful people you see today all over, they were mentored or they were inspired by Jim Rohn, and he started to fade away because of new names coming into market and having more attractive kind of videos. But if you see his speeches and that kind of ironic type of special, unique humor, you will
Yeah,
see that he has a special quality to also entertain and bring the philosophies of life into our daily life today, anytime.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You say on your website that once you master the mental and emotional game, the desired results will invariably follow.
Yes.
Why is that?
That's the secret of success, of what you want in life. Nothing can be this because once your thoughts and emotions align with a clear vision from the future, nothing will stop you. Everything will align to bring you those things. And even if you don't believe in the law of attraction or other, or quantum mechanics and epigenetics, even if you don't believe in them, I would consider that the focus on something, it will highlight the traits, the people, the messages, the whatever that will bring you closer to that desired goal from the future. Only then you can, and even in this way, because basically if I know exactly, if you know exactly what you want from the future and you constantly are living in that kind of future from the present moment, but you do have that vision in front of you, you will be like a light, that it's a bulb of light, constantly on, looking, searching for the clues, for the opportunities, for the people that will bring you closer to that ideal from the future. So, but to be a master of your thoughts and emotions, it's not an easy game. I mean, we have so many triggers. We have the subconscious mind that was programmed in different periods of our life, the first until 5, until we were 7, right? When we were in that in that meditation or a hypnotic state where we got all the informations unfiltered, and that's very important for parents to know. Until 7, the all the information in your kids goes unfiltered. afterwards they start to filter, okay, this is maybe not true, I won't allow it in my programs. But you are programmed unconsciously to suffer as an adult and you don't know why. And so now what we are doing as an adult are repairing ourselves, our limitations, our programs we are not even aware of. And that's why if you master the thoughts and the emotions to align with your future vision and you leave those saboteurs out and you reprogram yourself with the desired program, you can achieve everything, absolutely everything.
Talk to us about the quantum wins model as you see it. Tell everybody what it is, what's the framework, what's the methodology, what makes it so special?
Obviously, that name is not by chance, and the quantum comes from quantum mechanics, quantum fields especially. But ironically, I cannot use that with most of my clients until they are not ready. So I work with clients many times the traditional way, executive coaching in my own traditional way, which is anyway a lot different than what you might presume. Because once I know you and I onboarded you 2-3 weeks, everything is designed for you specifically for who you are, what are your weaknesses, what are your triggers, what I need to handle and improve and reprogram or whatever for you to have a happier life, be the right type of leader, run the right type of company, create that vision and keep that vision alive until you reach it. And so this is the starting point. But obviously during the time, and especially if a leader is open, a founder or a corporate executive is open to the idea of quantum, law of attraction, law of vibration, other things that are not so much unseen or maybe believed in the current moment, then I introduce also notions about basically how to bring that vision closer to you and attract things. And this correlates a lot with what I told you before. But this time is basically not just the focus that aligns you and makes you see those things that help you on your journey, but also influencing the exterior in a way to attract the right type of people, circumstances in your own direction. And basically you as a leader to be able to transform your company around you because of the quantum model. That means that you align with the vision and then everything aligns around you the way you want. But this is a difficult thing for many people to comprehend at the beginning because many times includes huge shifts, like changing your surrounding, changing your environment, changing your friends, maybe even your partner or things or co-founder or things that might be very painful. And I must say that most of the people today are not living their full potential just because they sacrificed their vision to not lose the good things they consider the good things in their present lives. But you cannot evolve if you also don't lose things, because you need to let in new things, higher things, higher vibration, better people in the regards of what you're seeking. And they cannot enter in your life, or new opportunities from a different level cannot enter in your life if you don't give space, let some space for them to enter. Many people sacrifice their lives and they are down
Wow.
and suffer.
What I heard, oh my gosh. I mean, what I heard is sometimes we have to let go of the good so we can let in the great. But because we're not willing to let go of what we think is the reality of today for the one
Yep.
that we want, we've sacrificed it, right? We hold on to it and we limit our true potential. I
Yeah.
I I can think back to you said it back a couple of moments ago, that it's sometimes difficult to bring this discussion into the coaching environment because they have to be ready. I could just speak for myself. When I first started hearing about this in 2008, I can assure you I wasn't ready. I needed something. I needed something, but I wasn't ready for that. Or I thought it was like a light switch. right? I was in a moment where I needed a quick fix, and it's not
Yeah.
really light switch thinking. It is it is a growth process, and it's a, at least for me, an evolutionary process of continuing to trust and believe in, and it isn't just the outcome that we can see, it's in the energy we take it with and how we approach every single day on the things we don't see. You know, I think about growing up in the Bible, we call it faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Well, it's very similar, I think, in this quantum discussion, being able to carry a seed of belief when you don't see the actual outcome. And that's sort of the magic in it, at least as I've learned it, as I've continued to do some work in this. It's super fascinating.
What a great
What is the
analogy
big,
with faith, you know? This is a great analogy, and many people can relate to that because it's basically the same principle. The
yeah,
underlying principle is the same.
yeah. I'm curious, with all of your successes and failures, and of course I know in your mind failures are not final. They're points of pivot. But talk about
Learning
one of the
points.
biggest, yeah, turning points, pivot points,
Learning points. Painful
learning
learning
points.
points.
Yep, learning points, right? So sometimes we learn a lot more than we'd like to.
Yeah.
um, tell us about one of your biggest learning points.
That the answer to all things and to moving further, no matter what happens, it's inside you. And becoming your best friend is the biggest strength you can have in any situation because, in this way, if you are your best friend, you will never be alone and you will start to consider your own interest also, put it on the table. And in that way, no matter what happens, you just know that you'll be okay. And this was that kind of lessons that really changed my life and maybe made me be here today. I'm not sure, but it could be.
Wow. I have never heard that before. That one of the biggest lessons is to become your best friend. So if you do, you'll never ever be alone.
Yes, and then
Wow.
acceptance comes in, and then accepting who you are, your failures, or what you think that those negative thoughts about yourself, betrayals, when other people or circumstances do to you so awful things that you might just think about suicide or whatever, the most horrible things can be avoided once you consider yourself worthy enough and valuable enough to just befriend yourself, listen to yourself, have those chats when no one is around you, and just find the answers or the next steps on your own, you know, not needing to rely on others or constantly depending on the exterior. That's such a huge, powerful thing to have.
Wow. You're a powerful, strong entrepreneur, founder, executive, coach, thought leader, speaker. Why do you get coaching? Or why have you sought out coaching over the years? I've noticed that you've been coached by, or maybe coached and or trained by or mentored by in some way, shape, or form, either through seminar or working one-on-one. Lisa Nichols, Les Brown, two of my favorites, Brian Tracy. I saw three of the people that, like, literally I would say they're on my Rolodex of favorite people. Why the need to continue to look for that type of external coaching and mentorship, even for yourself along your journey?
As long as we live, evolution doesn't stop. We are here for a reason. I would say the number one thing that it's common for everyone is the need to evolve during our lifetime. If someone stops, they basically stop. It's like a suicide, but they are still living, but they are like dead people. And we can see that. And we can see that together with retirement, especially. So in my case, is I am aware of things because of my what I am doing, and especially as a coach, I am aware that in order to evolve, I need to learn things on a daily basis. Luckily, I love to learn. I'm truly curious and constantly looking for new ways to improve my methods and so forth. And we can know just as much from our universe, even if we have a comprehensive life and we had so many experiences, and maybe we are 60 and we had a very full life, or 80 and we have had a very full life. It's still just a small part of the world, and a portion of the world, and our perspective can always be increased. Sometimes during the coaching sessions, or when I am coached or I learn something from someone, they clarify obvious things I knew but I didn't apply it. I knew but I forgot, or they were in front of me but I never put a name on them. Just identifying things about me, or giving me clues about, oh my god, mistakes I've done, and I didn't realize that they are part of my maybe unhappiness, or because I cannot express myself in a certain way I would love to. And they are like a mirror, a guide, a shifter in a different part of my life. Oh, now you should also look in this direction you never considered. So yeah, they are that kind of guide, and maybe a checker. Everything is okay with you, and I'm very aware that my knowledge about myself and what I could do is not the complete picture. Coaching with you, let's say you are a coach, you are coaching me, or we are in a group of coaches, or we are seeking other professionals, if one like us, I will constantly come with at least one lesson per session. That's very helpful for my evolution. Always, even if I knew it. Yeah, so I could never stop. And all the high achievers or the high performance and athletes, they have at least one coach, if not
Right.
a team, for every kind of little things to improve. So where you want
Yeah.
to be improved, you need an extra help.
Not a surprising answer for me. I had a feeling that
I'm
was the answer.
sure. Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure. Bro,
so
bro.
so I know that you customize a lot of your work. I've heard you say that you get very specific and very customized with your clients to build them a plan that is very specific for them. But my gut tells me that there's something that you probably see continuously that a lot of your clients perhaps are facing, that you probably almost always find yourself addressing in your client coaching engagements. I call that your superstar DNA. It's your superstar ability to look in and probably know that they're probably going to have this problem and I'm going to help them through this problem. What would that problem be that they may not see? Because, like you just articulated, you're on the outside looking in and you're almost always seeing this same type of problem. What is it that you're able to see when you go into these companies where they're struggling with, or executives or founders or companies, um, that you see most often that they're struggling with?
That everything is personal. And here is the magic, and maybe the biggest message I would love to share, because we separated this kind of business, work-life balance BS, and it's a huge BS, and now it's the BS, not no BS coach here present. And because of this, we are suffering so much. And most of my clients, when they come, especially as executive coach, and especially with corporate executives, when you start, you would presume that we will work business, we will work negotiation, we will prepare for certain kind of problems, problem solving, leadership, how to present yourself, how to speak, how to get confidence, how to reduce stress, improve your mental health, whatever. And basically, this is the way we start, but because I do have my methods at the beginning, pretty soon everything just falls down, and we see that there is a very personal type of issue that is so important to solve before business, before anything else. And this can come from insecurities, family, a lot, family, relationships, personal life. And this is what I want to pinpoint, because we are all humans, but we forget that in a business setting, we want to show us as being a robot type of everything handling superhero, and inside, basically, we just want to belong, we just want to be loved, we just want harmony, we just want to feel relaxed, to have a great relationship with our kids, with our wives, with our friends, to have some time for them, to take care of our employees, to be seen as a good, nice leader, to drive the team into the right direction, to have great relationships, to make everyone happy. And so obviously we are not talking about psychopaths, sociopaths, who are also a percentage, but I don't work with those. Most of
Thank you.
the you're
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah. I won't never. Most of the people are good people, and these are the main issues. And once you solve this, or you give a direction and clarity in this regards, many of the business issues just solve themselves, naturally, or other kind of issues. If you identify, pinpoint that personal, painful stuff that's in the way for them to perform the best. And this is common. It's a common theme.
I think there's this thought, and I've said this before as I've grown through entrepreneurship and personal life. We're not two different people. We're not personal life over here and business life over there. And there's, for 20 years, at least in my adult entrepreneurship world, there's always the debate about work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I gave that discussion up a long time ago, and I said it's work-life integration, because we're only one person.
Exactly.
We're not two different people. We're not a person at work and a person at home, but we try to act as if we don't understand this integration component, right? And now, of course, in a post-pandemic world, many of us work from home. We don't have offices anymore, or we don't go to the office. At least that's my story, where, that little break that I had when I went to the office is gone. Now, it doesn't mean I could go open an office any day I wanted to, but it's just interesting. We're not two different people. We're one person. So it's what you said, what I heard is that it's taking care of us as that individual personal story so that we can be the best we can be as leaders, as all of those things that we want to be. Like you said, we pretend that we're robots on the outside for the sake of the appearance. And that just, I've done it. I'm not gonna front and say I haven't done it, where we try to be tough. Never let them see you. Never let them see you crack, right? Never let them see you sweat. I think they say, never let them see you sweat. It's very interesting. Christina, your program that you work, I'm assuming it's custom, but I think I heard that you typically work with people in about a 6-month window of time. Is that a typical engagement when you're working with someone? Is that the time period that you feel like is an appropriate? Tell us about that.
My signature program is 6 months, and it's in parts, I would say, segmented. But basically, the thing is, I would love them to then take another contract, another 6 months, and so forth. But in 6 months, we have huge transformation and change. Now, here is a big debate between coaches, and I would love to address that, because I never had the chance, I believe, in the past. That, okay, you, the coach, you enable your client that it won't need you. Okay, that's pretty fair. On the other hand, because I am the life-work balance BSer, let's say, and for me, integration, it's very important. And for example, even if I would have a company, when I have a company, my employees are my extended family. I mean, why? If we are co-founders, you and I, and I like you and your family and your kids and our kids, and why not seeing each other in the weekend and have fun? And because I integrated in my signature program, and during the years I learned evolutionary psychology as well, not just psychology or psychiatry, neuroscience, and so forth. evolutionary psychology is also armed with anthropology, and if you are looking to our species, how we evolved and so forth, in the past we integrated this kind of things. It was not like a separation, which creates anxiety, because it's like, I need to separate the two. If I don't manage, and most people don't manage, I am failing. It's something wrong with me. No, it's not. If you love your job, why to separate? If you love your colleague, why cannot be his or her best friend, and your kids to be together? Why not having communities like in the past? And this happened in our ancestry and with our ancestors in our history. So I bring this here. The most amazing clients of mine should have awesome, big, huge, impactful dreams. In 6 months, we achieved what we wanted. Afterwards, you have new goals, bigger, ambitious. You are not yet the dragon, right? Or the ex-unicorn, the present dragon, and you are moving further. I move further with you because I also evolve. I don't want to just let you go if we are in a good synergy that I can help you further in your journey. So this is my intention, but obviously I created a program where if you sign with me for the 6 months, you will see huge improvements starting month one. I mean, the journey is just absolutely amazing. If you are open to my processes and you are meeting the 3 requirements to coach with me, especially, and one is trust, one is coachability, and third is action. So if you have these 3, then we will have the results. If you don't have enough trust, maybe the first results come a little bit later with a couple of weeks. But if you have enough trust and we do the job, all the 3 elements are in place, the results are coming.
I love it. Christina, we could go on and on. Where can people connect with you, follow you on social media, visit your website? How can people find you?
On LinkedIn first. So LinkedIn is my first social media of choice. I'm there basically on a daily basis. I have chats. I publish there. So if you want to reach me just to pick my brain, oh, this is such an awful expression, and just change it somehow. If you want to discuss a topic with me, just connect or send me a message on LinkedIn. No strings attached. And obviously, if you want to work with me on a coaching basis or you have other kind of ideas, just reach out there. That's the first place.
I always ask my guests a final question. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. And the question is, if today happened to be your last day on Earth, what would you want everyone to remember you for?
That I believe in the humankind and that we can do a lot better, and we have everything that we need to do a lot better. And this comes, why? Because lately what I've noticed, there are many humans who hate our species. And it's something that you would see in normal people. I don't like this trend too much because this shows the self-destructive behavior we are doing today. The message is like this earth would be better off without humans. It would go off without us. It will regenerate, and that's all true. But if you do have this kind of destructive attitude for your own species, then you will never be able to do something really about it and evolve in the right positive way. Yeah, so I think this would be the message I would love to just transfer. I do believe in the human species and in our beautiful possible positive evolution.
Wow. Christina, you think different, you act different, you grow differently, you have big goals, big dreams. You've chased this journey, and it's we've only begun to unpack this. I'm hoping maybe I can have you back in the future for another episode. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity of our connection, for me having an opportunity to be on your show. And the amount of depth that you've worked, we didn't even cross the, I didn't even think to bring up the work that you did with, um, in the world of I don't even, psychology, psychiatry. You work very closely with tell everybody really quick. I know I said the last question, but there was someone that you spent some time with that really, in the area of psychology, and I don't remember the exact part that I read, but are you familiar with who I'm talking about? You said he passed
Yeah.
away.
Yes.
Yeah, well, tell everyone that story, and then we'll wrap up.
So he was one of Virgil Enotescu, and he was one of the two geniuses known for the 21st century from Romania. Basically, and I had the chance to work with him in his hospital because when I did medical school, I was interested. I did it because I wanted the psychiatry approach. So when I decided that I want to understand human beings from all perspectives, I said, okay, I start the journey through the hard way, and that should be medical school to understand human being also in and out, but the psychiatric part, and that would come many years later. But I was decided to, from the medical school, from the first year, to go in the summers and then just to work in this environment. And it was off school because no one requires you that. But because we knew him as a family friend, then I had that kind of amazing opportunity. I went to his hospital and I had the possibility to train myself there and have patience. So he was very strict. And he said, okay, if you want to work next to me, then you need to have to treat, to also become just a basic doctor here, even if you are coming a couple of months. So he put me to give injections and stuff like this. You don't learn in medical school only when you're on in the clinical years, starting year 4. But I started year 1, and just because I then had patients from all of the psychiatry spectrum to interview in his office, and it was a huge starting point for me to see that we all can crack if the wrong type of triggers or circumstances align for a human being, we do have inclination to a psychiatrical, let's say, illness. Some to be PTSD, some bipolar, some just depression, some schizophrenic, some OBSs, and so forth. And I said, oh, wow, we do have these patterns, all of us, the sane ones as well. And yeah, it was the starting point of my true in-depth discovery of human nature and how fragile we are, emotionally especially, if we are not seeking to truly understand ourselves, to understand how we function, and give a lot of attention to signs before the big break happens, because there are always signs, like with the serial killers, because I'm also a forensics geek, and like with serial killers there are always signs. And but in hindsight you would see those not in real time, but they are there. And it's very interesting, and you can have those signs about yourself as well, and you could cut yourself before you go into the darkness where is no return. And this is the same with not just psychological illnesses but physical illnesses. There are always signs, but be attentive and be careful to notice them. So that's why know yourself and become your best friend.
Christina, thank you for being on the MindShift podcast. Listening audience, I hope you have found this discussion as profound as I have. There's some things here that I've never heard. I've been around the business for a while. I've been around entrepreneurship for a while. And I hope you really got some value. And if you did, and you're not subscribed, hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening to the show right now, and connect with Christina on her LinkedIn channel, which we'll link up in the show notes. Her website is quantumwins.life. Connect with her. She's definitely she's on a different level as a coach. She's on a different level as a thinker. And for those of you that are going to be here with us next week, thank you in advance. I'll see you next time on the MindShift podcast. Hey, it's Daryl Evans. Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the MindShift community. We'll help you shift your mind so you can shift your results.